Hello everyone, this is Dr. Bogdan Moldoveanu here, and let me just welcome you to our new setup of discussions. So basically this is the new type of vlog that I am aiming at bringing towards all my viewers, and it's a friendly discussion. So the format is a friendly discussion in which I have the opportunity to maybe talk to you a bit about our choices in the clinic in terms of what devices we are currently using, what materials we are using, what are the techniques that we are employing. A friendly discussion aimed not at giving you a course or teaching you what you need to do or what you should do, but rather highlighting some aspects that we found of importance during our decision-making process. Aspects that maybe would also be important for you at a certain point in your career, or maybe are important for you right now. So just keep in mind that everything that you're going to hear in these short videos are just personal opinions based on the information I was able to gather and then put into play. So there are no dogmas here, there are no undisputable truths or anything like that. In fact, I really encourage you to leave a comment, to ask questions, to interact with me in the comment section, and to maybe stir up a discussion that can be of value for everyone watching these clips. So yeah, that being said, let's just get on. In this first video, I would just like to highlight the imaging solutions we have in the clinic. So we have the Vatek cone beam CT right here, which obviously can take panoramic x-rays as well, the teleradiography, which you can see here for orthodontic purposes, and we have the periapical x-ray machine right here. All great devices. Now, before we start, I just have one issue with the periapical machine, not with the machine per se, because it's fairly easy to use, it's fairly flexible, you can use it with one hand, you have all these functions here, so you can set the different seconds. You can also put it on auto mode, and when you put it into auto mode, you see it chooses the tooth in direct accordance to the way you're angling the x-ray tube. So this is really great, because if you're not really familiar with what is the time that you should use, then yeah, you have that shortcut there that can help you take quality periapical x-rays, even if you're not an expert in doing so. And let me just show you a little bit of the quality that we have here. So this is what you can get. This is a preoperative x-ray, and here you have an x-ray with the rubber dam clamp on, so you can clearly see after the filling, and then you have the root canal fillings. So I would say the quality is pretty good. But the issue I was telling you about, which is not related to the machine per se, is related with this. Now, with this, a digital sensor. I really don't like this. As someone who has been using phosphorus plates for the last 10 years maybe, I cannot get used to using this. It's very, very inconvenient, both for me and for the patients as well. Now, the inconvenience is related to the fact that even if we have a small sensor, because you can clearly see that this one is a small sensor, so it's nothing big, the edges are not soft. So whenever you're trying to take the x-ray and placing the sensor inside the patient's mouth, you're going to press down on the soft tissues with these edges, and the patient will feel uncomfortable. Other than that, I find the holders that we have right there, you see we have the holders right there, the holders that we're using with the sensor, you know, they make everything a little bit more difficult. With the phosphorus plates, it's so much easier because the phosphorus plate is highly flexible. So even if the patient bites down and let's say he has let's say a very pronounced gag reflex or anything like that, you can still do it. With this, it's very, very difficult, because placing this inside the mouth with the holder as well, it sends also a psychological message to the patient that he has a lot in his mouth. And yeah, I found it quite difficult in many cases to do proper x-rays due to the fact that the patients were not able to properly bite down on the digital sensor. The other thing I'm not really happy with it is the size of the image that you can use. You have only this. So it's far more easier to buy 4 phosphorus plates with different numbers and to adapt them to the type of tooth you're treating or to the type of patient. Whilst with this, you only have this. I mean, it will be quite difficult to imagine buying 4 different digital sensors and to have 4 sizes. So if there is anyone interested out there in buying a periapical X-ray machine from Vatek, I just want to let you know that they do have the option of phosphorus plates. So forget about the digital sensor, do not buy it, especially if you're aiming at using it for periodontal treatments and odontic treatments and doing bite-wings to check on your proper adaptation of prosthetic work or the correct adaptation of the fillings. Just go with the phosphorus plates. Believe me, you are not going to regret it. Other than that, as I told you, the arm is quite long, so even if you place the device chair side, you'll surely be able to do a quality X-ray with the patient lying down on the chair. It's easy to use, you just have 3 buttons. You have the set button here, and then you can move through the teeth. If I touch it again, if I touch the button here, so this is a touchable button, you see, I can click here, click, click, click. So if I click here, I can swing through the different teeth. We have like incisors, premolars, molars, and bite-wing. And as I move through them, we have a different time of exposure. If I click on it again, I can choose through a buffy patient or a skinnier patient or an adult or a child, however you want to refer to these images. And here I can decide on the time of exposure, which is really a great thing because I have worked with the different periapical X-ray machines that didn't give you the option to, let's say, raise the exposure this much. You know, it's 0.5, so it's quite a lot. Most of them usually they were cut off at around 0.48, 0.46. So yeah, other than that, there's really nothing to say more about the device. It's pretty straightforward. You just aim it, take the X-ray, and that's that. Probably one of the advantages that you have using a digital sensor is that once you place the digital sensor in the mouth, if you want to do multiple exposures, so like taking an orthocentric and then going to mesiocentric and then to discocentric, you just need to tell the patient, keep biting on the holder and I'll just move the device from one side to the other. With the phosphorus plates, indeed, you need to take the phosphorus plates out, put it in the reading machine, then put it back in the mouth, and again, angulate the device properly. So yeah, this can be one of the advantages that you have with the digital sensor, but in my opinion, it's not that great or it's not that important as to move me in the direction of buying it again. I'm looking forward to the day when we are going to change it with the phosphorus plates, and that day is going to be soon. Okay, so probably the main, let's say the main topic of discussion or the device that interests you the most is the Cone Beam CT machine. So I'm not going to go into any technical details because I want to keep this video as friendly as possible so everybody can watch it and enjoy it, even those of you who maybe are not accustomed to taking 3D images or taking a panoramic X-ray and let's say working with such a device. But if you're interested in making a deep dive into what makes this device a better option than other devices on the market, you can leave me a comment, and obviously I'm very open to making a second video aimed at people who are, let's say, interested in buying such an equipment and maybe they want to make a clear-cut comparison between this Vatek and maybe another Vatek, or between this Vatek and another device from Plameka or Care or I don't know, any other company. So yeah, just leave me a comment and we'll take it from there. First things first, I just want to tell you that I've been using Cone Beam CT for the last 8 years, and this is the third device I've been working with. I have worked with a Cavo, then with a Plameka, and now with this one. I think I like the Cavo a bit more than the Vatek. Although they're very similar, I definitely don't like the Plameka. This is what I can tell you, I definitely don't like the Plameka. And this initial part of discussion is aimed more at the ergonomical aspects of the devices. I find that with the Plameka it's very difficult to fit here oversized patients. So if you have a very tall patient, if you have a very buffy patient, if you have maybe a patient who is obese, we cannot differentiate between this type of patients. We need to treat everyone with the same level of respect and with the same level of care, but placing them and trying to do a proper cone-beam CT without the device touching them when it rotates is at times challenging with the Plameca device. Here with the Vatek I really had no problems, with the Cavo it was even better. That being said, the Vatek has a number of other, let's say, aspects that are more advantageous, opposite to the Cavo, that let's say make the experience of taking a cone-beam CT really enjoyable. So I just want to start by talking to you about what we have here. So take a moment to just analyze the aesthetics of the device. Now, it's probably the best looking device on the market at the moment. You see, you have this little green CT thing here, which is lit, which is really nice. I think it would have been better if the Vatek logo was also lit here. Then you have this beautiful white LED that you can clearly see up here. Yeah, again, very beautiful looking. Then we have another LED here. Yeah, you can see it underneath. So yeah, little things that make the device aesthetically pleasing. So I would say that it's a very good looking piece of hardware. So let's see what are all these buttons about. Column up, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If I touch on this button, the column goes up. Column down, if I touch on this button, the column goes down. You have this panel here, and you can control the movement of the device up and down by touching on these two haptic buttons. You have, I mean, they're not really haptic, they're just touch sensitive, because there's no haptic feeling once you touch them, but you can also use this. So you have this right here, up and down. Now, I rarely use it. I prefer using the buttons, I don't know why, but if you don't care for touch sensitive buttons, just be sure that you have this option as well here. Then we have the chin rest, up and down. This is probably the most important function that you're going to use during the correct placement of your patients while taking an endodontic cone-beam CT, because you need to be sure that you have positioned the patient properly as to clearly see the tooth that you're aiming at examining. So yeah, being able to lower and raise the chin rests electrically or electromechanically like you have here, this is something really great. Then you have the button for the beam, and yeah, if we touch it we can see that we have the beam here, the beam which can help you in positioning the patient. Yeah, you can also move the beam up and down. I rarely do this, I don't know. I mean, for endodontic purposes, there's no reason to move the beam up and down. If you're indeed doing other, let's say, cone-beam CTs, or there's another purpose for you to take a 3D image, then maybe it will help you. Then you have the knob here, which can help you tighten the patient. Yeah, if the patient has the head here, you can tighten those two head placement, let's say, thingamajigs, how you should call them. I don't know, these two retainers that can help fix the patient into place, and then the patient will not move his head from one side to the other. You can take the cone-beam CT as it is right now without placing the chin rest, although I never do this. You have this little door here, this little secret door, and then you have different chin rest here. Also you have for the sinus, for the endodontals, and the normal. What I use, I usually prefer having this small chin rest. I place it here, and then I have, let's say, a marking point or a zone that the patient knows he must not go over. Because what happens, at least what happened to me when I was not properly placing this right here, the patient will move forward, and if I was not paying attention to his movements, then I would have a cut-off image. So basically the patient would move in front of the capturing image plate. So I wouldn't get the information I required. So yeah, use this. It's really easy for you to actually place the patient properly. Just let him rest his chin here, advise him not to move forward or not to move beyond this position, and then you have the two holders that will allow you to keep the patient's head in place. So yeah, that's that. Just put them back, they're not used. And obviously you have the single-use protection here. If you're going to take a panoramic x-ray, the patient can bite down on here and you're going to cover that with the single-use protections. And then the radiography, yeah, things that go in the ear. So yeah. Yeah, other than that, let me just show you how you can actually place the patient and how can you actually do a proper exposure. I'm always going to take my exposures with the patient sitting down. So imagine that we have the patient sat down. So now what we need to do now is prepare the patient for the cone beam CT. So we're not going to sit him immediately, just like I did here. We're going to kindly ask him to move a bit backwards. He's going to now gently slide backwards. And then we're going to go to the computer and do a proper, let's say, usage of the software. So let me just guide you through this. So we have the patient, yeah, and we want to do a cone beam CT. We choose the CT option right here, yeah. Then we want to do the endo. We're going to choose the tooth. And what's nice here on the software that if you choose the tooth, you also have it here, right up here, you see? So yeah, whenever you're in doubt, did I choose the right tooth? Yeah, just look here and yeah, you know you choose the right tooth. Then obviously you have this man, woman or child, and then you have the arches, which is a hard arch, soft arch and so on. So if you have a bulky patient which has a lot of tissue, then go just for the man and go for the hard. If not, you can go for the medium. You can also select all the settings manually, so you don't need to precisely adjust them. So you also, yeah, you have them here. And they get switched whenever you're choosing a different, let's say, section. But you can also adjust them manually. So depending on the type of contrast you're aiming for and the noise that you might have, you can definitely choose them. Then you hit confirm. Let's say we're going for 3.6. Just hit confirm, and then the image will position itself. You can clearly see here that we have the chin rest raising up, okay? So we can have the patient correctly positioned. We have a movement of the device. Yeah. Then we can ask the patient to come towards us, but you'll see that there's a problem now because the patient is a little bit lower. So what we can do is we're going to push the column down. Like this. Perfect. And now, please come forward. Now the patient is properly positioned. One of the things that I'm looking for always is to have a parallel, let's say a parallel smile line to the floor. This always helps me. And then we can clearly see that we have a line here. There are two lines. Maybe you can see the second one. Just ignore this one because when you're doing an endo cone beam CT, that's of no use. This should pass through the middle of the tooth that you're aiming for. So if I'm aiming for a 3.6, yeah, I would maybe have it a little bit lower. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to either raise the chin rest or maybe lower it. And you can clearly see that as I'm doing this, that line obviously intersects a different portion of the tooth. So I would say that this is a good setup if I'm trying to do a cone beam CT on tooth number 3.6. Yeah, just have the patient right in the middle, if not a little bit of adjustment, and then keep his head in place. So yeah, basically doing just like this. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to usually do a scout capturing, which is like a initial image, just like a small x-ray, and you're going to see on that small x-ray if you have placed the patient properly. If not, you can make some further adjustments, maybe lowering or raising the chin rest. You can do them from the computer, you can do them from here as well, and then you'll have a good quality cone beam CT that you can actually use. And that's that. So there's not a lot to discuss about. I would say positioning the patient and taking into account possible artifacts that you might have is something that you learn whilst you're doing it. Obviously you need to have some good theoretical background, so I can advise you on some really good books on COM/MCT if you're interested in. Once you read those, you'll need to have some practical expertise. So just reading books is not enough to get good quality COM/MCT images. You also need to have some hands-on with the device of your choosing in order to understand how you can adequately use it. At least this is my opinion. So just like I said, I'm making these videos in order to share my thoughts, in order to share my opinions regarding different aspects of my endodontic practice. These are not dogmas, these are not rules that you need to abide and so on. Maybe some of you have different opinions, and that's why I'm very interested in hearing those opinions and debating them into the comment section. But as far as I'm concerned, this is definitely, let's say, taking quality images is something that you need to work on from a practical point of view. So don't be upset if after you've read 2 or 3 books on COM/MCT endodontics, you find that your COM/MCTs are not looking exactly like the ones in the books you just read. It takes a little bit of time. Give yourself the time required to learn how to use the machine. Yeah, so afterwards, after scanning the patient, you have the images right here, good quality images, just like I told you. I mean, Vatek is a really good piece of equipment. From a hardware point of view, it's great. The software is not bad either. It could be better, but as far as I know, Vatek has something on the pipeline. So probably next year they will have new and improved software. I mean, this is at the moment has some deficiencies, but you can still work with it. You also have the endo option right here. So if you go to that endo options, you see that you have multiple sections here, so you can also do a lot of things like drawing root canals and so on. So again, if you're interested into this, just leave a comment and we can do a deep dive into the Vatek software and I can show you everything that you can do with it. I mean, most of the times I just find myself using the NPR and I just navigate through the teeth. I'm more interested in understanding the anatomy, into maybe measuring the length of the roots, seeing extrusive canals, discovering some ledges. So, you know, I'm not a big advocate when it comes to recommending a scan for every tooth, but I do feel that at times, if you do not have the COM/MCT option in your office, you're not going to be able to provide the same quality of treatment as you could if you would have had a 3D image to begin with. So you still need to use your brain in order to decide when you should recommend a COM/MCT and when you shouldn't, or maybe when a periapical X-ray is quite enough. And you do this by reading the books I previously talked about. So yeah, you definitely need literature in order to know how to properly use a COM/MCT, but then in order to get crispy, clear images, you need to do some scans. So yeah, this is it. This was our first video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more, just leave a like, subscribe to the channel, why not, and share it if you find the information of value, and catch you on the next one. So bye bye everyone.